ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, April 29th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're opening up the text line this hour. It's coming up right now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Got a lot to get into with you today. Big weekend for Marshall football. We'll go over that with the draft being what it was. A lot of notes on the draft. I didn't actually get a chance to listen to the Saturday stuff. I was on the road heading up to Morgantown. I'll tell a little bit more about that. I got to brag on the radio station. I got to brag around these parts of what we did Saturday. West Virginia Broadcasters Association annual awards banquet. We brought home a couple of things. We'll talk to you about that as well. But big weekend for Marshall and the draft. Couple of players getting called up by the NFL, and then there were several free agent signings. So we'll go over all of that with you and, of course, get that text line open. I want to do that early, so we'll do that now. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Yesterday, the Giants beat the Pirates 3-2. Pirates are opening up a series in Oakland. We've got the game coming for you tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Rangers beat the Reds yesterday 4-3. Reds begin a series in San Diego tonight. That's going to be a late one as well. Cleveland having the night off. And the Charleston Dirty Birds getting the win over Staten Island 14-7 in the capital city. The Dirty Birds win 3 of their first 4 games of the season. Dirty Birds are off today. They're going to open up a series at High Point on Tuesday. We had an exciting NASCAR race on Sunday. Denny Hamlin holding off Kyle Larson to win at Dover. So congratulations to him. That was a race you could hear on our sister station, Big Buck Country 101.5. And, of course, baseball. Not so good for the Thundering Herd. Georgia Southern getting the victory over Marshall 10-4. The Eagles sweep the series. Thundering Herd playing at Eastern Kentucky on Tuesday. And then back here in Huntington on Wednesday. And then the softball team. Now the Herd sweeps the series against Appalachian State. But wow, did the Herd unload. The Herd unload. 18 hits, 18 runs. Marshall sweeping the series, beating the Mountaineers 18-12. How about that? Softball team looking pretty good. Hopefully they can carry some of that over, save some of that offense. So they look pretty good at home. It was good to see what they were able to do. And hopefully they can carry that over and they can get a little momentum going. So it was a big weekend for softball. Not so good for baseball. But, of course, softball, baseball, still a few weeks to go as we get ready for postseason play. We got a lot to get into. I want to do that with you here in the next couple minutes. Some good news. We have the draft finally over. We can stop breaking it down. We can stop trying to grade it. I'm not going to grade the Bengals. I'm not going to grade the Browns or the Steelers or the Ravens. I'm not going to try to grade the drafts. Instead, let's grade the Thundering Herd draft. Let's do that because we've got a lot to talk about. There are a few fun facts to talk about the draft as far as how well Marshall did, how well the Sun Belt did, and that's the good thing. We can get into that. And a little bit later on, I want to talk to you about what UAB football has done. The Blazers have become the first team to sign with a players' association. Not a player signing with a players' association, not just like a couple of players. The entire team is signed with a players' association. What's that going to mean for the future of college athletics? Could something like that happen in Huntington with Marshall? Could Marshall eventually see its entire football team sign with a players' association? Are we seeing the beginning of the end? Is there going to be a dynamic shift as far as how college football is operated, the profit structure? How will all of that factor in, especially with more players and more programs looking to unionize, collective bargaining, labor agreements, instead of individuals going out there? It started out as name, image, and likeness. I get a chance to go out and profit off of my name, my image, my likeness. I get a job, maybe. I could go maybe sell cars. I don't know. And it's turned into this money. I don't want to say scheme, but it's turned into this money-generating endeavor where players are now asking, hey, what's my NIL payout? Are college athletes employees? And if that's so, you're going to have to pay some taxes, my friends. Government's going to get its check for sure. But I'm kind of curious what the outcome is going to be. And I do mean this, will college athletes eventually become state employees? If it's a state institution at a private institution, will they be employees of the university? What is going to happen? We'll get into that a little bit later on with you. But let's open the text line now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I hope you had a great weekend. I definitely had a great weekend. Got to listen to a little bit of the draft, watch a little bit of the draft, got to watch a little hockey. Didn't get to see too much baseball, unfortunately. I didn't get to see too much of the NBA, but we got a lot to get into, and we'll do that with you. One more time before we hit the break, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. From our text line, texter says, I wonder how many guys who were drafted over the weekend took a pay cut from what they were making in college. Small ball is all that's left. Support your local small college. I appreciate that text. I think over the life of a player's career, you're going to make a good salary in the NFL. I mean, you don't want to just give up on the NFL. But there are some players that definitely made probably more money than they could make in their initial years in the NFL. I mean, that's possibly true. The big monies of the other sports. Players want to play in the NFL. Kids want to be in the NFL, and they're going to get good money. But I think the bigger money is always going to be basketball, baseball. You're not getting into hockey because of the money. You love hockey. There are certain sports that you're playing pro, and you're going to get paid, you're going to make a nice living, and you're going to do better than most of us. But you're not making the excessive amounts of money that other sports are. NFL, very few players have the real high-profile contracts. Salary cap keeps a lot of that in line. I mean, would a salary cap work in college athletics? Probably not. You're not dealing with one entity. You're dealing with individual universities, you're dealing with individual states, and there are states that are going to try to outdo each other as far as what they can do for NIL. That's the thing. It's not regulated, and that's where the NCAA has dropped the ball. So, yeah, I'm sure somebody took a pay cut, but the dream of playing the NFL, and there's nowhere else for those guys to go. After they're done in college, guess what? It's NFL or nothing. And to be honest, there are probably a few players that are going to stick around longer in college to take advantage of name, image, and likeness money, NIL money. I don't know how much that's going to benefit them in the long run, but there were guys that could possibly take off for the NFL early. They might stick around now. Now, will they stick around at your school? That's the big question there. So, yeah, I believe some pay cuts probably were taken by players, but we're playing in the NFL now. That's the National Football League. That's the big one. That's where everybody wants to end up, and I'm sure they'll do quite nicely. They're looking better than I am as far as paychecks are concerned. Their starting paycheck is going to be better than what you and I make. For the most part, yes, absolutely. They're going to do just fine with their starting paycheck, and if they stay, it's going to get better. More text coming up, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's get into how Marshall did in the draft, and then, of course, after the draft, the signings of free agents, how the Sun Belt do, how the Herd do in comparison to the other university in the state of West Virginia. That was a note, and I've got that note. I'll tell you how well Marshall did. I don't know why It was a note, but it's a note. We'll talk about it when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Working Man Store in Huntington. Check out the biggest inventory of scrubs in West Virginia, featuring brands such as Healing Hands, Dickies, Cherokee, and Med Couture at the best price. Working Man Store has one of the largest selections of big and tall shirts, jackets, and jeans in the area. Working Man Store is the king of blue jeans with Levi's, Dickies, Carhartt, Lee, and Wranglers in sizes up to 72. And Working Man Store has the best selection of men's work boots and casual shoes anywhere at the best price. Working Man Store, open every day at 140 5th Avenue, Huntington.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From NCAA basketball, NBA, NHL, and MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the Tri-State. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. Visit at rio.edu. Rio, changing tomorrows. Swisher and Losi Pharmacy, independently owned with free local delivery and drive-through service. 636 East Main Street in Pomeroy, Ohio.
Sunflower Seeds will host an I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K Saturday, May 18th at Ritter Park. It starts at 9 o'clock. Visit tristateracer.com to register. T-shirts, canvas bags, and other items, part of the $25 pre-registration fee. Sunflower Seeds Incorporated is a tri-state area nonprofit established to raise awareness and resources for humanitarian aid to Ukrainian refugees. 17 million Ukrainians are in need of aid, and most of the refugees are women and children who want to remain near their Ukrainian homeland. To date, Sunflower Seeds has raised $40,000 and over 13,000 pounds of food and medical supplies have been delivered across 6 trips to Poland and beyond. Again, to be part of this I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K May 18th at Ritter Park, 9 o'clock, visit tristateracer.com to register.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale. Take an extra 30% off gift ideas from designers they'll love and 15% off beauty, skincare, and fragrance gift sets when you use your coupon or Macy's card. That's on top of great deals like women's holiday dresses, $150 and under. Plus, shop the season's hottest toys from Monster High, Discovery, and more, 10 to 50% off. Download the free Macy's app for more savings at Macy's. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Hey, welcome back to the Monday edition. Paul Swann, your host for The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is open this 3 hours. For 3 hours, we've been getting texts. And I'm going to get to all of them. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's find out how well the Herd did. Draft day was Wednesday, pre-hype, Thursday, the draft itself, Friday, Saturday. And we find out that Marshall was pretty good on Saturday. So how'd the Herd do on Saturday? Rasheen Ali, drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. It was in round 5. It was pick 165. So congratulations to Rasheen Ali. Not only was Rasheen Ali the first Marshall player taken in the draft this year, he was also the first Sun Belt player taken. So everyone in the Sun Belt came after Rasheen Ali. So congratulations to him. And he could have been maybe higher if he would have been a little healthier. I think 5 is good for him. It's a great value pick. And the Ravens are going to have a workhorse in Rasheen Ali. The only bad thing about it is I got to see Rasheen Ali running up against my Bengals now. So I hate that. I love Rasheen Ali. But he's a Raven now. So good luck, Rasheen. I will be rooting for you personally to have success, except when you play the Bengals. And then Micah Abraham. He gets drafted by the Indianapolis Colts, round 6, pick 201. So Micah goes, and then that's 2 players for the Thundering Herd that get drafted. And Marshall was tied for the most players drafted in the Sun Belt. Marshall is also one of 5 non-Power 5 schools with multiple players drafted in the draft. So not only did Marshall have 2 players taken, that's tied for most in the Sun Belt, also only one of 5 non-Power 5 schools with multiple players. So good day overall. Ali goes first in the NFL draft for Marshall and the Sun Belt, and then Micah Abraham goes. Marshall has multiple draft picks, and so that stands out a little bit. And here's a note. I don't know if this is really relevant, why it was a note, but it is. And several people have texted me and wanted me to talk about it. Okay, I'm going to do it. Stirring it up a little bit. Here we go. Marshall had the most draft picks in the state of West Virginia. That 2. The only other place that players could get drafted from was in Morgantown, and they got 1. What that means, ultimately, nothing. I mean, you got someone drafted, and they get someone drafted again. What that means, ultimately, is nothing because a lot of the success is going to be found in free agency, and that's where the Herd found some success. Ethan Driscoll, he signed a deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. How about that? He's going to be a Chief. If he sticks, good place to go. I mean, it's probably a good place for him anyway. You can have a lot of success with the Chiefs. Then you get Eli Neal signing a deal with the Los Angeles Rams. Good situation for him. And then how about Micah getting a friend because Dalton Tucker is signing with the Indianapolis Colts. So he signs a deal. So not only did the Colts pick up Micah Abraham in the draft, they picked up Dalton Tucker. And then Owen Porter, he signs a deal with the Minnesota Vikings. I had a couple of people ask me over the weekend, text me, Paul, you think Owen's going to get drafted? And I didn't think he would get drafted. I thought he had a chance, but I didn't think he would get drafted if he was going to find a spot. It definitely was going to come either 7th round or afterwards. And so he signs a deal with the Minnesota Vikings. And if you're a Spring Valley grad or if you're a supporter of Spring Valley, you got to be feeling pretty good about a couple of boys from Spring Valley because former West Virginia University offensive lineman Doug Nestor signing an undrafted free agent contract with the Vikings as well. So you've got Owen Porter and you got Doug Nestor. What a good deal. So if you're a Spring Valley grad or booster, you got to be feeling pretty good about a couple of local boys making good in the NFL. So pretty good draft overall if you're the Thundering Herd. Of course, Nestor started in 52 of the 57 games in which he logged snaps at Virginia Tech and West Virginia. So he had some success. When Porter had some success. and the Sun Belt had some success as well. So it was a pretty good draft, I think, and a pretty good afterwards for the Sun Belt and for the Thundering Herd. That's pretty good. You got 6 guys that have a shot of sticking in the NFL. Definitely Rasheen, definitely Micah. I think the rest of the guys are going to have a legitimate chance to make it and stay in the NFL. And so with that said, I think it was a good performance for the Thundering Herd. Now, what does that mean? That means you can use that for recruiting, obviously. That's a recruiting tool now. Hey, stick with me. If your goal is to get into the NFL, you got a good shot here. I mean, you can use that now. You can always use that. Look, Rasheen Ali, he came to Marshall, stuck it out, worked hard. He's in the NFL now. And then you got Micah Abraham. You can say, look, he came to Marshall, got drafted. I would love to see, I don't know if anyone's keeping this kind of metric. I would love to see what the percentage of players drafted were players that stayed for the most part at their school, and how many were transfer portal players. Now, if you're a pretty big name, and then you go into the transfer portal, you go to another big school, and you're a pretty big name, you might have different success than, say, what if Rasheen Ali decided to go into the transfer portal? What if Rasheen Ali decided, hey, I'm going to leave Marshall, go somewhere else? Does he have the same success? I don't know that, but we don't have to worry about that because he didn't, and he had success at Marshall, and now he's going to be a Baltimore Raven. And then Micah Abraham is going to be an Indianapolis Colt. But with these guys, fortunes have changed if they would have went into the transfer portal. And would it have been for the better, or would it have been for the worse? That's a big question. I would love to know what that looks like here in the near future, if that's a metric that can be tracked. The way the transfer portal is going right now, that might be a moot point, because how many people are going to stick around? How many players are going to be players that you originally recruited and you brought up through the program and they stayed with you? How many Owen Porters are going to be out there in the future? Guys that come to the program and stay. How many Rasheen Ali's are going to have like that? So I'm interested in that type of dynamic. And then now, with the way that college athletics are moving towards even unionizing, how much of a change will all of this mean? Will the transfer portal be lessened because you're going to unionize now, and then so players are going to have more of an opportunity to benefit from the name, image, and likeness, television money? How much is that going to change the dynamic of the portal? Or will it have a crippling effect on smaller schools? Could you imagine you unionize at one school, it's a larger school, and they get a bigger deal, television package-wise, than, say, Marshall? What's that going to look like? How do you compete with that? That's interesting to me. We'll talk a little bit about that. UAB football becoming the first team to sign with a players association in athletes.org. How is that going to look? And what does that mean for the rest of college football? And, of course, we'll get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big money on your next project with help from Menards. Move water where you need it quickly with a Barracuda sump pump. Some pumps keep your basement dry when big storms hit unexpectedly. Get a half-horsepower cast-iron Barracuda sump pump on sale now through May 5th. Hurry into Menards. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
You've cut back on everything and you're still coming up short at the end of the month. Give your local State Farm agent a call for a free discount double check. They'll show you how something as simple as combining car and home policies can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Being there to help keep more of your money is why your local State Farm agent is here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Huntington, Ray Crabtree, 304-736-8181. In Lavalette, Jason Elkins, 304-529-7555. And in Charleston, Lisa Godwin, 304-984-0000.
You know, there's something about a truck you can count on and that SUV that's been on every family vacation for a decade. TikTok Tire and Uniroyal know your truck or family car is only as reliable as the tires underneath it. And that's why Uniroyal made the Laredo AT Tire and HT Tire to be the tires you trust. You know, like you trust your truck, your SUV, or TikTok Tire. Uniroyal Laredo AT and Laredo HT. See where 130 years of value takes you. For more information, stop into TikTok Tire, 2102 3rd Avenue, Huntington, right across from the stadium, or call 304-525-7831.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
In the tapestry of life, we encounter stories of legacy and accomplishment, but sometimes also abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. Adult Protective Services understands the importance of safeguarding the well-being of our loved ones, our neighbors, and our community. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL, HHS, and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Your Monday Drive continues here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Paul Swann with you here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So the Thundering Herd having a good draft and a lot of players signing with teams afterwards as unrestricted free agents or undrafted free agents. What's your most surprising name? When you heard that name was picked up by, or Rasheen Ali picked up by the Ravens, well, what was your first thought when you heard Rasheen Ali is going to the Ravens, or Micah Abraham's going to the Colts, or you heard later that, hey, Ethan Driscoll is going to go with the Chiefs? So like, hey, that's a great deal, or, oh, I hate that. I hate that Dalton Tucker's a Colt now. I mean, did you have any of those feelings? Throw that in with us as well. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, I hate that Rasheen Ali was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, and I can't stand the Ravens. I'm with you. Thanks for the text. I'm with you there because of the fact that I'm going to have to root against Rasheen Ali now. Hey, once you go to the NFL, I mean, I can support you. Hey, loved you as a Marshall Thundering Herd player. I hope you have a lot of success, except when you play the Bengals twice a year, and maybe 3, depending on the playoffs. Hope you have lots of success, except when you play those 2 games. I mean, at least he's a Raven, right? I mean, it could have been worse. He could have been a Pittsburgh Steeler. I mean, he could have been a Browns player even. It's not as bad. No, it's as bad. It's as bad. And how do you support your favorite Marshall player when they go to the pro? That's always been interesting to me. Now that Rasheen Ali is a Raven, if you're a Bengals fan, if you're a Herd fan and a Bengals fan, how do you put the two together? Hey, big Marshall fan, love Rasheen Ali. He's a Raven now. Is that what goes through your mind? I mean, with the other teams, like, hey, Micah Abraham's playing, he's a Colt, cool. I don't have, like, really any hatred towards the Colts. Ethan Driscoll playing with the Chiefs, yeah, I respect the Chiefs. Don't like them, but I respect them. Vikings, yeah, that's cool. Rams, they're on my list. But Rasheen going to the Ravens, and now I got to see Rasheen in the division at least twice. If you're a Steelers fan and a Herd fan, bad combination, by the way. If you're a Steelers fan and a Browns fan, I look out there and I picture Woody Woodrum looking back at me when I say that. Former co-host on this program a couple of name changes ago. And I think to myself, how do you root for the Herd guy when they're on the team that you're rooting against? How do you do that? Can you do that? Can you separate the two? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, no, I don't separate the two. Either playing for my team or you're not. Appreciate that text. Texter writes in and says, well, maybe I'm just now a Baltimore Ravens fan. Go Ravens. All right, appreciate that text as well. College football. It's been changing for a while, and it's about to change even more as UAB football team has become the first team to sign with a players' association. The association in question is athletes.org, and this was first reported by ESPN's Dan Murphy. And the founder of athletes.org, Jim Cavale, he said that, quote, we're not in there to get them to boycott, but we do understand the power they can have. When it's time to negotiate, we'll be prepared to have UAB to be a part of that negotiation. We're building the pipes for the negotiation of a new deal for college athletics. The pipes for the athletes to be in that conversation. So the college football player, before all of this, would sign with a school. You would get a scholarship, room, board, education, for a lot of them, not everyone. And in return, you got to play on the football team. Now, it was kind of tough because there were a lot of restrictions. People couldn't do certain things for you. You got treated well, but you didn't have any walking around money. Couldn't go get second job. You couldn't go get some part-time work to kind of pay for the rest of the year. And, of course, a lot of your time is being taken up by football. And so eventually name, image, and likeness opens it up. Yeah, you can make money now. I can go make money. I'm not restricted on how much money I can. I'm famous here in Huntington right now. I'm kind of a big deal. I play for the Marshall football team. I'm a big deal. And so I can make a little money off my name. And then you become a big deal and you show what you're about. You have great performances. You're doing well. And then other schools or other trusts come looking at you. More so, you think to yourself, oh, wait a minute. If I can do this here, if I can make this here, and I'm getting this kind of money at this level, what can I get at the next level? And so UAB, their football program, their football team, signing this deal. Now, who pushed them into that? Well, the head coach of UAB, Trent Dilfer. He said, this is a forcing function to tell ADs and presidents around the country to put their money where their mouth is. And that every college coach, if you are really about your players, then let them organize. Said you're scared because you think your comfortable life is going to go away. If you care about your players, let their lives be comfortable like yours. With this move, now, according to athletes.org, Their current membership is 2,495 athletes. And 2,026 come from the power conferences. So the power conferences make up a bulk of this right now, but the lower levels, building up membership here. I mean, what's this going to look like in a few years? Can you have one or two or three bodies negotiating on behalf of college football athletes? There's not going to be one single voice negotiating on behalf of all college football athletes. There's not just going to be like a unified players union. Not like you have in the NHL, the NFL, the NBA. You don't have a unified voice. There's so many players. There's so many athletes. So it's going to make sense you have multiple groups trying to get as many players as they possibly can under their umbrella. What's this going to mean for the way athletic departments are run? Now, if you're a school from a power conference, say the SEC, and you are part of a big television package, how much of that revenue is going to go toward the student athlete now? Your football player. How much of that? And then if the football players are getting a certain cut, and the television package isn't just for football, it's for basketball and everything else as well, then how much of that television money is going to have to eventually go towards basketball? Because basketball players are going to say, look, wait a minute, where's our cut? And so they're going to unionize. And if you're a student athlete, if you're on the track team, you're on the swim team, you're on the women's basketball team, which has more muscle now than ever before. People are paying more attention to women's basketball, so they should do okay. You're on the tennis team. You're on a softball team. Whatever team you are, you're an Olympic sport. And, of course, your games, say, for example, are on ESPN+. Well, they're televising your games. I don't know how much revenue we can quantify. The television deal usually is for the football and the basketball, but mostly the football. Basketball gets its fair share. How much will you get? And then how much will the university get? I mean, we're going to have to go into a model maybe like the NFL where the owners get a certain amount and then the players get a certain amount. And what's that going to mean for the health of many athletic departments that, well, they're not bringing in the money like some of the other schools. If you're a team in the SEC, you're doing all right. Your team in the Big Ten, you're doing all right. If you are a team in the American, yeah, you might be doing okay. If you're a team in, say, the Sun Belt, what's this mean for you? What if a multitude of teams all of a sudden unionize in the Sun Belt? What's their cut of the revenue going to be if that comes to fruition? What's that going to mean for athletic departments that are looking for every single dollar they can to run the athletic department? Does that mean you get rid of the scholarship? Why are you putting students on scholarship now? If they're getting a piece of the revenue, why are you putting them on scholarship? Maybe they should be required to pay for their own education. Maybe that's something you look at as well. Like, okay, you'll get a cut of our athletic department revenue, but in return, you're going to have to pay for your education here at Marshall University, at UAB. Like, okay, we'll share revenue, but you're going to have to pay your way now. The school is going to have to get its money because we're giving you scholarship and we're not giving you part of the revenue. That's one way to look at it. Maybe that gets thrown out. Maybe they go and say, nope, we're completely going to call them school employees. And that changes the dynamic completely differently. Interesting to see. I'm going to follow this further, but I'm curious, will this spread to other schools quickly? Will UAB be the first of many to bring in entire teams into union situations? Could Conference USA, could schools in the Sun Belt, could schools in the MAC, could they form successfully, and could those athletic departments survive? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll get into more of this when we continue. And we had a pretty good day on Saturday. We're up in Morgantown for the West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. We got to brag on the station a little bit. It's going to be a little self-serving, but we got to do it. We'll talk about it when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want from NCAA basketball, NBA, NHL, and MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the tri-state. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com. Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Sunflower Seeds will host an I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K Saturday, May 18th at Ritter Park. It starts at 9 o'clock. Visit TriStateRacer.com to register. T-shirts, canvas bags, and other items, part of the $25 pre-registration fee. Sunflower Seeds Incorporated is a tri-state area nonprofit established to raise awareness and resources for humanitarian aid to Ukrainian refugees. 17 million Ukrainians are in need of aid, and most of the refugees are women and children who want to remain near their Ukrainian homeland. To date, Sunflower Seeds has raised $40,000 and over 13,000 pounds of food and medical supplies have been delivered across 6 trips to Poland and beyond. Again, to be part of this I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K May 18th at Ritter Park, 9 o'clock, visit TriStateRacer.com to register.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning and revolutionary online learning program that's changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by teachers and early childhood learning experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 7,000 learning activities and more than 650 lessons, it's the most comprehensive early learning site on earth.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse. It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
It's just endless what they can learn on ABC Mouse. I've always had to use 20 websites, and now I can just use one.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio, abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with the Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for checking in today. Our text line is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got to do a little bragging on ourselves. We'll do that here in a second. Did you know the new EA Sports game coming out soon is going to feature different cover athletes? it's possible you could pick up a version of the game that have a cover athlete from a different, possibly, maybe some group of 5 guys. I'm not too sure about that, but maybe there's going to be 3 or 4 variations of the game at least, or possibly, with a different cover athlete from a different school. It's going to be different positions as well. It's going to be current players. So if you're, say, I don't know, if you're Cole Pennington, you could possibly be a cover athlete. I'm just using his name. How many people from Huntington would line up to buy EA Sports college football game with Cole Pennington on it? I think anyone who plays on Xbox or PlayStation is going to buy it anyway, but it's going to be a hot ticket wherever your cover athlete is from. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic coming up here soon, finding out more about the new college football game. And that goes right into, of course, the unionizing here, at least UAB football team unionizing. How is all of this going to be negotiated here in the future? Am I still going to be able to go out and negotiate my own deal? Could Paul Swann negotiate his own deal, be a cover athlete of a EA Sports video game if I was playing college football for, say, the Thundering Herd? Could I do that on my own? I'm interested to see how all this shakes out here over the next few months and, of course, for the next couple of seasons. All right, we'll get back to your text in just a second. We got to brag on ourselves here now on the station. It's going to sound a little self-serving, but, we got to do it because every year we attend the West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcast Awards Banquet. It was held in Morgantown this year. I actually got to see Coach Bob Huggins. He looked good. Got to spend a couple of minutes with him and went and talked to him. And for those of you who hate on Coach Huggins, I'll tell you a quick story. And I didn't spend too much time with him here because there are a lot of people who wanted his time, especially in Morgantown. But when I got let go from my previous employer, the fine folks at Marshall and the Sports Information Office, including, this was 2010. So I think Jason Corrier was just coming in soon. So it had to be, I think it had to be maybe Randy Burnside or a couple other guys. But they let me come to the game because I was going December and the basketball game was coming, up a little bit afterwards. And so they let me come to the game as a credentialed member of the media. And they asked, hey, can you help us out? Sure. So I was working the media gate. I knew everybody. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to people. Hey, this is my situation now. Hey, good to see you. Here's your credential. What are you doing, Paul? Well, I got let go from a previous employer, and so here's what I'm doing for a little bit, and then I got something promising coming up. Little did we know, here it was. And so Bob Huggins is one of those guys who came to the media desk and got his credential. And the first thing is I remember somebody who was a Marshall fan brought a basketball over to get him to sign. He was super nice, and he was talking to him and was always kind, and he was super nice to me. And so, I got a chance to see him, and it was good. He looked good. He looks good. He looks healthy. So I was happy to see he's looking better, and hopefully he's definitely going in the right direction. So we're in Morgantown, taking the trip up. We're rushing up there because, well, it's a Saturday, so that means most of the staff, we've got prior obligations until a certain time. So we're rushing up there. We get up there just in time for the awards banquet. And, of course, all the big stars were there. First of all, I will do a little shout-out to my friend Cassidy Wood from Channel 13. She won in large market Best Sports Anchor. This is third time in a row for her. So congratulations to my friend Cassidy. And I mentioned Cassidy because Cassidy and I have become pretty good friends. And I'm highly, highly supportive of her. I mean, she's been nothing but fantastic and highly supportive of me ever since we met. And so, I'm cheering her on. I'm excited for her. And get to the radio categories. And I'm sitting there, okay, let's find out who won. It's probably not going to be me. And the first one was Best Sportscast. And I entered something as Best Sportscast. And lo and behold, the winner, WRVC, Paul Swann. I'm utterly shocked. And so my biggest cheerleader outside of everybody at my table was Cassidy. And then all the 13 crew. I had to walk past all the 13 News folks, and they were having a great night as well. And I didn't get to see anybody else really from Channel 8, my friends there, and SAZ, but I was getting high fives from the 13 crew. Amanda Barron, everybody. It was fantastic. So, we got to pick up that award, and that was fantastic. Best sportscast. I'd never won that one. And then a few awards later, we get back to radio. It's like best talk show, and I'm thinking, okay, it's probably going to be one of the talk shows in Charleston or Morgantown. They do some great stuff there. And here it is, my name again. And I'm still shocked over the first time. And so I get back there on stage, and I could make out, I'm hearing my table cheering for me. And I could hear Cassidy cheering. I heard her. Get you a Cassidy Wood. And I could hear a few others as well. Ryan Epling from WSAZ was there. I was excited to see him. I had Dave Wilson from Metro News, and of course he does a lot of Marshall broadcasts as well. You know Dave. He was there, so I got to hear him as well, and there were a lot of people, so it was fun. We got to bring home 2 awards from the West Virginia Broadcasters Association for me and WRVC, and I was not expecting any of those awards. I entered, I thought I'd had a chance, I was hopeful, wasn't expecting to walk away with anything, and we got 2, so we did all right. 2 more awards coming back to 930 WRVC. It's been a good 100th year anniversary so far. We started in October celebrating 100 years, and it's been pretty good so far. So had a good day in Morgantown. Got to walk away with a couple awards, and the radio station, we did well. And hopefully we can bring some more awards back home next year or the year after. Texter writes in and says, Paul, congratulations on your award, and I told you last week that Ali was going to be going to the Ravens. You did. I've got it in the text log. You said Cowboys and Ravens. So you said, too, you had a 50-50 shot. Could go to the Cowboys, go to the Ravens. So Cowboys was not the choice. It was Ravens. But you did say Ravens. So I'll give you that. I think I'd rather would have seen Rasheen Ali go to the Cowboys, to be honest. I can't root for him as much. He's a Raven now. I can't root for him as much. I'm going to try my very best. I'm always going to root for the Marshall players. I'm always going to hope they're going to be successful. I just hope when the Ravens play the Bengals that Rasheen's successful and the Bengals are a little bit more successful. But overall, good weekend. I didn't even know about it. I had to follow Twitter. We were traveling up the interstate there, trying to stay in communication with the civilized world. You know how travel is on the interstate now and then. And so I found out about it probably a little bit after everybody else. I didn't get to really find out about Micah Abraham until later. That's going to do it for this edition. Hope you had a great Monday, and I hope I was a part of it. If not, I'm going to do better. We'll have a great Tuesday tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And thanks to everybody who helped throughout the year make the show possible, everyone who was a part of the show. And, of course, thank you to everybody who's sent in all your messages, your texts, your support. There's a lot of people I probably haven't mentioned just yet. I threw a few names out there because I got to see them on Saturday. But, my guy Ryan Epling over at WSAZ, always there for me. My guy, of course, Dave Wilson, working at Metro News, always there for me. Good to see him. He won for network play-by-play, by the way, for Metro News. So it was a good night for a couple of kids who used to work at WMUL under Dr. Bailey's tutelage. Have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting in Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.